Shen Men Piercing, or at least that's how I think it's pronounced. Shen Men, is that right? Going to talk about what you should know before getting it done. Coming up next on Consultations by a Piercer, episode number 8. For those that are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. I hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you're finding them helpful. But you may not quite know who I am if you haven't seen one of these videos. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside Skin Kitchen Tattoo. Now, the piercing we're talking about today is a kind of variation on a flat piercing, I guess. Basically, it's at the top of the ear, just above. There's this ridge right here that is called the antihelix. It's what we do rooks through. Right at the tie, it's right above that, kind of like a faux rook, but not as far forward. It's done dead center. Why is this piercing getting its own consultation when I've already done a flat? It's because there's a lot of claims on the internet and various piercers out there that because this is a pressure point that even though they're not acupuncturists themselves, that this is going to cure your food things, your smoking, your diet, headaches. And I think it needs to be addressed by itself. I find it always hard to put my head around when people claim that things that aren't medical do medical things. Acupuncture, I do believe, helps people. I don't have enough information, to be honest with you, to say, other than personal experience, that it isn't a good thing. I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is I doubt your piercer is a trained acupuncturist and has any idea where that pressure point is supposed to be. What they're trying to say is that piercing there is going to affect the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in your body. It's the same one that's targeted when they do daith piercings and claim the same thing. As I tell people with daith piercings that are asking about migraines, I've had clients that say it works. I've had other clients say they notice absolutely no difference. There's no scientific proof one way or another as far as I know. I know there's been a few studies on the daith. This one I don't think there is. If it makes you feel like you're going to quit smoking and eat less, more power to you. It's just one more reason to get a piercing. Do I think this piercing looks cool on its own without all the added stuff? Yes. So regardless of what the outcome is, if you like the look of the piercing and you want a piercing that's a little bit more unique, this is not a common one, this would be a good option. But if you're getting it for everything else, do take that information with a grain of salt and do your research. Now, how do you heal it? You're looking at an average healing time of 8 to 12 weeks, maybe longer. It depends on the person. Everybody heals at different rates. During that period of time, you're going to rinse a couple times a day with a sterile saline solution. I like Nelmed's Piercing Aftercare. There's also the wound wash version, and there's various different other products on the market. Everybody always asks, well, I can't find that. What should I get? What you want to do is you want to find sterile. It should be marked plainly on the can. If it isn't, it probably isn't sterile. The next thing you want to look for is turn it over on the back and look at the ingredients. You should only see water and sodium chloride. You should not see anything else in there. If there is, there's always a possibility that you're going to have a reaction to those other additives. What we want is plain saline, salt water, the same stuff they'd use if you were dehydrated and gave you an IV. We do not want all this other magical stuff. We don't need tea tree oil or lavender or any of this other stuff, just saline. Now, you'll clean with that twice a day. 30 seconds at the end of your shower, I generally suggest letting the water flow over the area just to rinse off any soap and to help cut down on the collection of discharge. You know, the crusties. Oh my God, it's got crusties. That is a normal part of the healing process. Do not pick at them. Let them kind of melt away. Cross-contamination prevention. Common sense stuff. Wash your hands before you handle it. No oral contact or exchanging of bodily fluids on near around the piercing until it heals. Keep your environment clean. Clothing, bedding, towels. Do not submerge piercing bodies in water you cannot control the quality of. Which means everything but your own clean and well-maintained bathtub. No swimming. Keep pets away from it. Do not let those little buggers sleep in the bed, especially the smaller ones like to sleep up by your face and steal your breath while you're sleeping. Avoid contact with unclean objects. No more culprit. That would be telephones, headphones, earbuds, planks of wood. Anything that comes in contact with the area needs to be disinfected or just avoid contact. Lastly, avoid contact with wet hair. Dry your hair before it comes in contact with the piercing. Kind of wear it up in a fun bun, like somebody from the Flintstones. And that moves us on to trauma, pressure, and abuse. Do not sleep on the piercing. Make sure you're sleeping on your other side or your back, or figure out a way to elevate it off the bed. Common way to do that, and what's generally suggested by just about everyone, those U-shaped travel pillows, the ones that are neck pillows. Put a clean tube sock on it every night and sleep with your ear in the center of it. Otherwise, figure out a way to keep yourself from rolling over on that piercing. Piercings will trick you. They're shady little fellows sometimes, and they will seem like it's okay to sleep on them. They may stop hurting. You may be able to touch the area that doesn't hurt, and then you try sleeping on it, and you wake up the next morning, and suddenly all the nastiness that you were encountering minutes after the piercing was done are back. Swelling, discomfort, throbbing, aching, all of that. Give your body time to heal that piercing before you sleep on it. Avoid tight-fitting things like headphones, helmets, etc. Anything that's going to put pressure on the area or bend your ear needs to be avoided until after the piercing is well seasoned and healed. Also, the cleanliness of these items can be a little questionable. Do not spin, rotate, or play with the jewelry. It is not a video game. It is not a knob that's going to make your life happier if you spin it. Leave it alone. Also, keep everybody else's germy little fingers away from it. If you wear a mask and you have to take for your job or what have you, biggest thing is you want to avoid anything that's going to have a direct pressure on that area. Usually they don't. Be careful when you're removing them and putting them on that you're not catching the back of that jewelry and causing trauma. And you might want to consider, if it does seem like it hurts when you have it on, is getting ear savers. You can find them on Amazon. They're like a little clip that you put in the back that pulls out the strings away from your ears. Jewelry commonly on these, it's LeBray studs or barbells, either threaded or threadless. Personally, I like threadless LeBrays because they have a lower profile on the back of them, and they're a little easier to deal with in general. When the piercing is done, the jewelry will be too long for what you really need. The reason for this is we need to allow for inflammation. I'm going to go into downsizing next, and we'll explain all that here in a second. But do keep in mind that that's not going to be the permanent jewelry. Now, if the jewelry's threaded, you need to check it on a regular basis. Make sure that ball's on there tight. If it's threadless, really, generally, they do not fall out unless they get yanked on. So if you've had some trauma or you caught the jewelry, then you may want to just put your thumb on one side, your index finger on the other side, and just squeeze them together to make sure that they're still together. Downsizing. As I mentioned earlier, we have to pierce with a longer barbell or LeBray stud than needed. I suggest downsizing in 4 to 6 weeks. Now, there's a reason for this. The main thing is to avoid additional trauma and to avoid migration. That tip-toppy added weight and movement can cause issues also, including the piercing migrating out of position. So it's always a good idea to go in and have it downsized within 4 to 6 weeks, especially if you're getting caught on things and it's causing problems. The downsizing should be done by your piercer. They have the proper equipment to do it, and they'll probably give you a discount on the jewelry. Anatomy. With this ear, pretty broad. There's not really a lot of ears that I could think of that I've seen there where I've had to turn this down. The main thing is if there's space for the jewelry to fit in the back. If you have one of those ears that's kind of folded and three-dimensional and not flat. Other than that, this piercing does pretty well on a majority of people's anatomy. Now, placement, if you're like me and you have that folded ear where it folds downward, that makes an industrial piercing a really bad idea, and it kind of is more like a hill there in the center. With that, you pretty much want to stick straight where the peak of that hill is, because it's just not going to sit right otherwise. Things you should consider before getting it done. If you're going on vacation or a long trip or what have you, and you're going to be in a new environment, it might be best to postpone getting the piercing done until you get back. It just makes an added level of stress to a vacation, and the whole swimming issue can be a problem. So it's best just to kind of wait until you have like some stability in your schedule and et cetera to get it done. If you are involved in any type of organized sports or activities where you may have to remove the jewelry to participate, talk to the person in charge before getting the piercing done. You cannot take this jewelry in and out throughout the healing period without eventually causing issues. Piercings like to be left alone, as I've already established. Taking the jewelry out, especially if you have to leave it out, will be a problem. It might be best to wait until you get to a point in your life where you do not have to worry about stuff like that. I've already talked about this before, but sleep and isolation, that's probably the two biggest key factors with healing any type of ear piercing. Really plan that out and work on not sleeping on it. Also, if you have any big jewelry plans for this particular piercing, placement will dictate what type of jewelry will fit in there. Since it's in the center of the ear, you can kind of put larger clusters and stuff, ends in there. However, you really want to consider that if the shape of your ear is in one way or another, that a large cluster is not going to fit comfortably or look right there. So talk to your piercer about kind of what your end goal might be before you get the piercing done. Well, that's all I have to say about that piercing today. If you found this helpful or what have you, give me a thumbs up, like, share, do all that fun stuff, subscribe, and check out our merch store. Link is in the description. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Thank you for watching. And check out one of these other videos. They're pretty helpful, too, I hear.